and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and today I am going to make a couple of Halloween cards with the latest release from Spellbinders. This is Boo Dance Party, I think, and the reason why it's called Dance Party is because we have the dancing ghost and the dancing mummy. And these, I'm a huge fan of the sort of dancing line or collection of die sets from Spellbinders because it's a really fun interactive mechanism to include on a card and super duper simple. You don't even need any real specific dies to create it, because if you can just either punch a hole or die cut a small hole, you can make that element dance by using that hole to kind of hang it onto a piece of foam. So let me start off by just assembling both the mummy and the ghost. So the mummy is really interesting. He's actually got his body and his legs are separate, and you can die cut that in whatever color you'd like. Then there are a number of different dies that cut out his the little sort of bandages that he's wrapped in. And it's really adorable because we get these larger pieces like the one that covers the majority of the body here. But then you also get little pieces, little strips that you can add really anywhere that you want. And then there's even these pieces here that have that little torn edge to them to sort of suggest that those are kind of the ends of his wrapping that have kind of come loose a little bit, perhaps. And so you can cut as many of these individual little pieces as you'd like and layer them up. Certainly you can even layer them up in different colors too, and you can ink some of the edges just to make it look a little bit more worn and dirty if you want. You can really go to town on it. I think the attention to detail here is fantastic, and I love that you get those individual strips too, because then you can really kind of add a lot more texture and layers to these bandages. So really fun. I love all of that attention to detail. Included with the set. Now these are two different sets, and I'm presuming that I've laid them out on my sheet the way that that they are actually combined, but I don't know that for certain. So I'll leave links to all of them in the description box below so that you can check them out if you're interested. But I'm not 100% sure what accessories come with which set. But you do get, there's a jack-o'-lantern, there's a Halloween bag, and they both have the little jack-o'-lantern face cut out of them. And so I just backed them with a little bit of black cardstock from behind so that the face is a little bit more noticeable. For the ghost, what I've decided to do is I'm going to use some of my glow-in-the-dark Nuvo drops. And my apologies that my camera is having a hard time focusing for some reason. But all I'm doing here is just using a piece of scrap cardstock to spread out the Nuvo drop in a nice thin, trying to get it to be a nice even layer. It doesn't have to be super even, but the idea is that I am going to glue this piece of glow-in-the-dark paper essentially behind the eyes of my ghost. And I've got this little UV lamp that you can just plug into your computer's USB, and that's going to just quickly charge the glow-in-the-dark. And so that's just a quick preview of what it'll look like. Okay, so now onto my card. This is going to be a 5x7 card, and what I thought might be a little bit fun to do is actually combine the dancing legs with this large die of the month that was from last year. This was actually March of last year, and it had all the cute Easter characters and critters, and basically the mechanism is a fun pull tab mechanism. There's actually two different ways that you could use it. You can have it sort of be kind of a wobble in two parts or just in one part. And I'm going to assemble the version where it's just in one part. Now, I'm putting both the mummy and the ghost on the single mechanism or on a single card here. The mechanism that I'm using has 3 holes where you can attach 3 stands, but I'm only going to attach 2 because these characters are rather large. And it's pretty easy to connect them, the 2 pieces, because you've got your pull tab that runs across the length of your card, and it has holes that are punched into it. And there's a separate die, which I did in advance, where you can die cut out the 3 slots. That's what I've die cut out of the gray piece of cardstock here. And then there's a separate die that has that's basically your stand where you will attach your character, and the stands get attached to your pull tab with, I try to use the smallest size brads that I can. That way it's not super thick, and it doesn't make your card extra bulky. So you just want to attach your stands to the pull tab. Now, the way that I like to use these extra little strips, which are meant to create a track so that your pull tab will just have something where it can help guide it to pull straight. That way it doesn't sort of wiggle up and down. I like to wrap it like a belly band all the way around my pull tab, and I just like to give it a nice loose wrap so that you can pull it without too much friction, but it will definitely guide it so that it runs straight. This background panel here that I've created, I've just used some of my alcohol markers to color up a sky, sort of a night sky is what I was going for. And then I used a stencil that I have, and I stenciled on some glacier paste just to give it that dotty pattern, which I thought would be kind of cute. Now, on the back of my mechanism, the gray piece here, I'm going to line this with some foam. Now, this is my regular foam. It's about 2 to 3 millimeters thick. You want to choose a foam that's roughly the same thickness as the head of your brad. That way you can get this panel to sit as even and flush as you can. You just want to make certain that as you're placing your foam, you don't inhibit the movement of your pull tabs unless you want to actually restrict that movement. I tried to always kind of wiggle it back and forth to make sure that I'm not putting foam anywhere that's going to inhibit or stop the movement of those pull tabs. And that's the mechanism complete. Now, I thought what might be fun is to still have the dancing aspect. So I'm going to put a rather thick circular foam pad right onto the stand here, and we're going to hang the legs off of that circle piece of foam. And because the legs are just going to be suspended by that on top of that foam, it is going to be free to rock back and forth. I do want to close off that foam or lock in those legs by I just punched out a 3/4 inch disc so that I can apply that to the top of the foam, and that way the legs don't pop off. And so here I'm just going to test the movement a little bit. So when you pull on the pull tab, anything attached to this is going to kind of swing back and forth, but then along with that, the legs will swing too. And so I just thought this would be a kind of fun, neat way to combine a couple of different mechanisms. So At this point now, I've got a couple of different levels or thicknesses of foam, and the top portion of the body for both the mummy and the ghost, it's going to go on top of that 3/4 inch disc that I attached to my foam pad. So there's quite a lot of foam behind there, and I want to make sure that this is nice and sturdy. So I did die cut out the body a second time, the top portion of the ghost and the top portion of the mummy. And what I'm attempting to do is just stack a couple of layers of foam just so that the top portion here can roughly be level. And I'm not going to glue this top portion down. It's just an extra layer of the die cut plus a couple of layers of foam sandwiched in between. And that's going to go right behind the topmost layer, and that helps to make the top portion level. That way it doesn't fall backwards against the base of the card. And so that's totally optional to do, but I think it just makes the whole mechanism a little bit sturdier. Now, because I did use the die that cuts out 3 slots, but I'm only putting 2 characters onto the scene, I have that 3rd slot that I need to hide. So what I decided to do is just make a couple more jack-o'-lanterns, die cut out a few of these pieces of candy, which does come in one of the sets, and add those as additional little elements so that I can cover up that 3rd slot that I didn't use. And since this pull tab is so thin, I decided to go ahead and punch out a couple more 3/4 inch discs, and I'm going to add that to the end of the pull tab so that you have a little bit of a larger piece of cardstock to grab onto. And my pull tab, I did layer up 2 thicknesses of 120-pound cover weight heavyweight cardstock. So I just leveled off the ends there with a couple of extra little, just those portions of the circle that weren't covered by the pull tab. I wanted that whole piece to be nice and solid and thick. So I added a few extra layers of cardstock there, and that makes that whole pull tab feel very, very solid and makes it so much easier to grab onto so that you have something nice and solid to pull on. And then the Hey Boo sentiment does come in one of the die sets as well, which I think is super, super cute. Love the font on that as well. And of course, I always leave this to the last minute, stamping out a little indicator onto our pull tab so that the card recipient actually knows there's something to do here, that you need to actually pull on this tab to have some nice fun little interactions. So you can play with this in a couple ways. You can just kind of shake it back and forth like a regular dancing card, or you can pull on the pull tab and have them swing back and forth as well. So love that. It's super, super fun. The pumpkin that the mummy is holding does restrict the movement of his legs a little bit, but I think that overall it's just a really fun card to play with, and these little characters are super, super cute. I think they're more cute than scary, so love that. And of course the eyes of the ghost will glow in the dark as well. I hope that you enjoyed this card. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and ring that notification bell. Thanks so much. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.